Good afternoon and fantastic Friday. It's been a minute since I have been on, and that is absolutely on purpose. Lot has happened since last I was here. So let me get into why today has been labeled what today is. Um, uh, if I can tell you anything, God has an amazing sense of humor, an absolutely amazing sense of humor. When He gave me the download on purpose, refined by fire, I said to myself, wow, that is pregnant with possibilities that the child of God can use to find out where they are. What I did not know, what I could not know, is that the first person that was going to be impacted by that was going to be me. I should have known that, but I didn't. Hmm. I should have known that the way that God does things is He's not going to put it out until He puts it in. So sit back, grab some popcorn, because I have a great story to tell you. Hmm. Last Friday morning, don't get choked up, Mason. About 1:15 in the morning, I got a call from the alarm company saying that the smoke detectors in my house were going out. I was in Augusta. The house is in Douglasville. I looked on my app, looked at the cameras, saw that there was smoke billowing out my front door. The dispatcher asked me, did I want the fire trucks to continue? My answer was absolutely. Please, because I have no idea what's going on. Picked up my phone and began to call, trying to find what was happening. The answer was a grease fire. I relaxed and said, oh, cool, okay. That shouldn't be that big of a deal. I was wrong. I was so wrong, in fact, that for the foreseeable future, I will be speaking to you from someplace other than my home. Why? Because my entire kitchen went up in flames. And the smoke from the fire impacted everything in that house. When I got to the house and began to survey the damage, I said, this is more serious than I thought. How did you know? Because I arrived at the house at about 5 a.m. the next day, pulled into, well, pulled next to the mailbox to check the mail, backed into the driveway. And as soon as I rolled down my window, all I could smell was barbecue. But it wasn't the good barbecue that goes along with ribs. It was the bad barbecue because I know the thing that was barbecued was my house. When I went in through the garage into the kitchen, I saw the char marks up to the ceiling. I saw soot on the ceiling fan. I saw things that were discolored. And I said, wow. I sat down at my kitchen table and I realized one thing. My purpose was being refined by a fire I didn't choose. Job had it right. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Isaiah had it right. The Lord said, see, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. And being a good educator, that began to get my mind racing and running. What does this process look like? So let's take a look.
Scale. This is a huge metal blob. My client inherited it from a family member, and not knowing what it was, the blob was almost thrown away. Thankfully, it was brought to my shop instead. Can I uncover its secrets? Is it real gold? And if it is, how much gold is actually in there?
It's really heavy.
533.3 grams heavy. Now, the first step in my investigation is to cut a small sliver off of this blob. I'm going to use my gold tester to find out just exactly what it's made of. Using an acid solution, this machine will tell me whether the metal is not gold, 10 karat, 14 karat, 18, etc. Dipping the sliver down into the acid well, I can see that it's very clearly reading 10 karat. But just to make sure, I want to check my solution with this 18 karat gold ring. Bingo. 10 karat gold is 41.7% pure. In other words, 41.7% of this blob is pure gold, which means 58.3% is not. It's other metals, and who knows what else. The mission: extract the pure gold, using chemistry, literal gold refining. But there's just one problem. I'm not a chemist. In fact, I've never even taken a chemistry class. Math tells me that I should be able to extract 222 grams of pure gold.
So I think the 222 grams is the best case scenario. I'm actually expecting a lot less than that. In fact, it looks like the blob maybe wasn't even completely melted all the way through. You can see it was kind of fragmented here, the way that it's folded on top of itself. It just kind of looks weird. So I'm really interested to see what the final total is. So let's go ahead and melt this down and start refining.
Off to a great start. My largest crucible, and the blob won't even fit inside. Nothing a little fire can't fix. The blob has imploded down into the crucible, and it's taking an extreme amount of heat to get it into the liquid state. You can see just how much sludge and flux has built up around this beautiful golden sun. I attempted to pour some out of the crucible. It didn't go super well, but it's already incredibly satisfying to see just how much junk has separated from the gold. Next, I'll be doing some water casting. Now, some jewelers use this method to create some really cool looking organic shapes. Basically, all you do is liquefy your metal and pour it over water. I didn't know it at the time, but I was actually making a mistake here. You see, I don't want this beautiful looking mountain that sort of looks like an erupting volcano. I actually wanted a bunch of small individual pieces. And there definitely are some there, but the majority of the gold all got stuck together, primarily due to the fact that the beaker was too small. There wasn't enough time for the gold to cool properly before it just adhered to itself. It really was just a rookie mistake. I mean, it kind of looks cool, I guess. I don't know. Let's turn it and see this. Oh my The blob has a face. This is the face of the blob. This is the personality of the blob manifesting itself. It's alive. And now he's dead. But never dead. Just melted into a new shape. Gone, but never forgotten. Trying the water casting again, this time in a 5-gallon bucket. Yes, these were the flakes I was looking for. This is so much better. And you can see a lot of the darker flux actually separated from the gold as well, which I'm super happy about.
So let's get into this. I chose this particular video because when we start with us, it's a blob. It's a blob. And the blob doesn't have a name, doesn't have a face. What the blob has is a purpose. And that purpose is to be refined. And in the refining process, it's got to be heated. It's got to hit the furnace until it liquefies. Our hearts may be too stony to fit, and they need to get some fire on them so that they can go into the crucible, so that they can actually be hit by the fire and then right temperature. The next thing that it did was he did a water casting. So he then poured this into water so that there would be a separation between the gold and the sludge. Even after all of that heat hit this thing, did you see the amount of gunk that had to be separated in order to get the gold? I don't know about you, but I have no idea how long this process is going to take. What I do know is when the fire begins to hit you, it's not optional, because you don't get to choose the fire. God gets to choose the fire, and he's going to use the fire that is most applicable to the job. Some of you get a gentle fire because you want this process to happen. Others, you gonna get a blast furnace because you have been running from this process for so very long. What I know is, because you can't choose the fire, because you can't choose the intensity, because you can't choose when it's going to happen, because you can't choose where it's going to be applied, because you can't choose how the outcome is going to happen, all you can do is hold on for dear life and go through the process. Mine has just begun. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. But what I know, hey Terry, what I know is this. When the fire hits, metal, rock, paper, stubble, it doesn't matter. You want gold? It's going to go through the fire. You want silver? It's going to go through the fire. You want copper? It's going to go through the fire. You want a diamond? It's going to go through the fire and pressure. Y'all, listen. I don't know where you are in your process. Maybe your fire is already over and you're on the other side of refinement. For some of you, you're looking at me saying, that has nothing to do with me, Mason. Keep living. Keep living. What I know is, as we shift into our purpose, we don't get to choose the fire that God's going to use. He will choose what implement is best to get the job done. He will choose the process of refinement to get where he needs us to be. And he will choose the grading that is going to end with the product that he wants, without spot or blemish, without any of the gunk. But rest assured, as this author said, the blob will be refined into something precious. Just allow it to happen. Since I didn't do it at the beginning, I'll do it now. I'm John Mason, better known as Dr. M, the Purpose Disruptor, in the middle of the furnace. We're going to have about 3-4 of these nice little discussions about the furnace, about the smoke, about the process, and what in the world is going to be the outcome. Stay tuned. It's going to get good. I promise you that. Decide, declare, defend, and do so with a song in your heart.
We all want to be happy, but the majority of us have no idea what to do. See, the Japanese have a concept called ikigai, which roughly translates into a reason for being. You need to have a purpose for being here. But this is easier said than done because there are 4 components that you need to check off in order to achieve ikigai. Now, the interesting thing about this Japanese formula is that you can tell where you are in life and what you need to work on by looking at the components you have so far. If all you have is something that you love and are good at, then you have what's called a passion. On the other hand, if you have something that you love and you can see how the world needs it, then you have what's called a mission. Now, if you're someone who has something you get paid well for and are good at, then you have what most people in the world have, which is a profession. And finally, if you get paid well and it's something that you know can help the world, then you have what's called a vocation. You need to be spending your time doing something that you love, that you can get better at, that pays well, and that the world needs. Without all 4, you will always feel like you're missing something inside of you.
Follow us for more helpful tips.